This year, something new happened. Usain Bolt, making his first appearance, said something that turned cheers into silence and left a mystery hanging over Europe's most famous street festival. The Notting Hill Carnival is not just a party. It is a tradition that began many years ago to celebrate Caribbean culture. Every year, more than 1 million people fill the streets of West London with music, food, and colorful costumes. But in 2025, something special happened. Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, came to the carnival for the first time. People cheered when he danced, but what he said made everyone stop and think about the future of this big celebration. Usain Bolt walked through the streets of West London with a big smile. He danced with the music, laughed with the crowd, and enjoyed every moment. This time, he wasn't racing for medals. He was celebrating his culture. Videos showed him moving with joy, and his sponsor, PUMA, even shared a clip saying he danced through them. His visit brought even more attention to the carnival, but it was also about something bigger: his pride in Caribbean heritage and community.
We got the Usain Bolt. Yes, Bolt, sorry. We got Bolt.
When asked about his impressions, Bolt did not hesitate to speak openly. He said that relocating the carnival or charging for entry would kill it off. In his eyes, the strength of the event came from its roots in tradition and its openness to everyone. He stressed that this was not just a party. It was a living piece of history, a celebration of Caribbean culture that should never be reshaped for profit or convenience. Bolt spoke at a time when the carnival was almost canceled because of money problems. In 2025, it was saved only after London's mayor and local councils gave £1 million in support. Without that help, the streets could have been empty. Bolt's words gave people hope. The world's fastest man was now standing up for culture, not just sport. This year, more than 1 million people came to the Notting Hill Carnival over 3 days. The streets were full of music, costumes, food, dancers, and parades. For visitors, it was exciting and fun. But for the city, it was a big job to manage. Over 7,000 police officers worked to keep people safe. Drones watched from the sky, cameras checked the crowds, and security gates were set up. The strong police presence showed how hard it is to run such a huge event. Despite these controls, arrests totaled 423, but officials emphasized that serious incidents were lower than in previous years. The carnival's reputation for occasional clashes did not overshadow its identity as one of Europe's greatest cultural celebrations. Behind the bright parades, food sellers struggled. Prices for things like chicken went up almost 50%, and other costs also grew. Many small vendors had to cut workers, shrink menus, or stop selling. Visitors still saw plenty of food, but for sellers it was very hard. These problems made organizers worry about the future of the carnival. That is why Bolt's words about keeping it real and true to its roots felt even more important. To understand why Bolt's words mattered, it is important to know the carnival's history. Born in 1966, the Notting Hill Carnival grew from small gatherings that celebrated Caribbean culture in the face of racism and exclusion. It became a defiant act of community pride, filling the streets with the music, dance, and food of Caribbean heritage. Over time, it transformed into Europe's largest street festival, drawing millions each year. Its significance lies not just in its scale, but in its role as a cultural anchor for immigrant communities in Britain. Bolt's own Jamaican identity tied him directly to these roots. His presence was not just symbolic. It reminded the world that the carnival is about belonging, identity, and history as much as it is about music and dance. The impact of Bolt's appearance extended far beyond selfies and videos. His global fame ensured headlines carried his message across the world. Suddenly, debates about the carnival's funding and future had the voice of a man known everywhere. His charisma attracted new attention to the carnival's struggles, and his joyful participation reminded people of why the event mattered. Fans watching him dance alongside sound system trucks saw not just a sprinter, but a proud Caribbean figure embracing his roots. For young people in the crowd, it showed that their cultural celebrations had champions at the highest level of fame. Not everyone agreed on how to protect the carnival. Police used drones, cameras, and other tools to watch the crowds. Some people said this went too far and could turn a happy festival into a place of strict control. Organizers had to find a balance, keeping people safe while still letting the carnival stay free and full of joy. Bolt's words about authenticity echoed in this debate. If safety measures eroded the open spirit of the carnival, would it still be the same event? Was the risk worth the cost? These were the questions being asked in boardrooms and community meetings long after the music stopped. The money question remained central. Hosting over 1 million people is expensive. Policing, cleanup, logistics, and infrastructure carry massive costs. With declining sponsorship and rising prices, officials floated ideas like ticketing certain areas or relocating parts of the festival. Bolt's rejection of these ideas made headlines, but the financial problem remained unsolved. The £1 million from the local government saved 2025. But what about 2026? What about the years beyond? For many, Bolt's stance gave hope. If a global icon could stand against commercialization, maybe there was a chance to protect Carnival's open access. Still, the financial gap had to be addressed, or the warnings of collapse might one day come true. News about the Carnival often focused on crime and fights instead of its culture and beauty. Organizers said this was unfair. Bolt's happy dancing and strong words changed the story for a while, showing the Carnival in a brighter and more positive way. As the crowds left and the music faded, debates about the future grew louder. Would the Carnival survive rising costs? Could it stay free? Would government funding continue? Would sponsorship fill the gap? Bolt's words offered a warning and a hope. His message was clear: keep the Carnival in Notting Hill, keep it open to all, and keep it rooted in heritage. For millions who attended, the memory of 2025 was one of celebration, color, and joy. For those behind the scenes, it was also a reminder of the fragile balance required to keep this tradition alive. Usain Bolt's story is usually told in stadiums, where his lightning speed and unmatched confidence defined him as a legend. But in Notting Hill, on the streets of London, his role shifted. He became a cultural ambassador, using his fame not to win races, but to defend heritage. His dancing reminded the world that culture thrives not only in arenas and stages, but in the streets, among the people. The Carnival is more than a party. It is a living monument to resilience, pride, and community. Bolt's presence in 2025 proved that even in retirement, the world's fastest man can still set the pace, this time not on the track, but in the fight to protect one of the greatest cultural celebrations in Europe. A tall, skinny teenager steps up to the starting line. His competitors have trained for years. They've won countless races, but none of them know what's about to happen. The gun fires, and in just 20 seconds, everything changes. Not just for him, but for the entire world of sports. This is the story of Usain Bolt, the boy who never lost a high school race and became the fastest man alive. In the small town of Sherwood-Content, Jamaica, a legend was born. Usain Bolt didn't start as the fastest kid on the block. In fact, he was more interested in cricket and soccer than running. But when he was 12 years old, his cricket coach noticed something special. This boy was fast. Really fast. Try running, the coach said. See what happens. What happened was magic. Bolt's first race was at his local primary school. He won easily. Then he won again. And again. Soon word spread about the tall kid from Sherwood-Content who couldn't be beaten. At William Knibb Memorial High School, Bolt's reputation grew. Every race was the same story. He would line up at the starting line, often joking with his competitors. The gun would fire, and Bolt would win. Not just win, he would dominate. In his first year of high school, Bolt ran the 200 meters in 20.58 seconds. That was faster than any high school student had ever run before. But he wasn't done. Each race got faster. Each victory was more impressive. His classmates started calling him Lightning. The nickname stuck. What made Bolt special wasn't just his speed, it was his attitude. While other runners looked nervous and serious, Bolt smiled. He laughed. He danced before races. Running wasn't work for him, it was fun. His coach, Pablo McNeil, remembers those days clearly. Usain never lost a race in high school, not one. We knew we had something special, but we had no idea how special. For 4 years, Bolt's high school career was perfect. He ran the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 400 meters. He won them all. His times kept getting faster, but the result was always the same. Gold medal around his neck. The other schools in Jamaica started to fear him. When they saw Bolt on the entry list, they knew they were running for second place. But Bolt's success wasn't just about natural talent. talent. He trained hard. Every morning at 5 a.m., he was on the track. Every afternoon, he was in the gym. His long legs, he was already 6 feet tall in high school, helped him take massive steps. But it was his heart that made him unbeatable. In 2002, when Bolt was just 15 years old, he ran at the World Junior Championships. This wasn't high school competition anymore. These were the best young runners from around the world. The race was the 200 meters. Bolt lined up against kids who had been training their whole lives to be there. The gun fired, and history was made. Bolt won in 20.61 seconds, becoming the youngest world junior champion ever. The crowd couldn't believe it. Neither could Bolt. "I was just a kid from Jamaica," he said later. "I didn't know I was supposed to be nervous." After dominating high school and junior competitions, Bolt set his sights on the Olympics. The 2004 Athens Olympics would be his first. He was 17 years old, still a teenager, but he had big dreams. Unfortunately, dreams don't always come true on the first try. Bolt struggled with injuries leading up to Athens. His leg was bothering him, and he couldn't run his best times. When the race came, he was eliminated in the first round with a disappointing time of 21.05 seconds. Many athletes might have given up, but not Bolt. He used the disappointment as fuel. "I learned that being fast in high school doesn't mean you're ready for the Olympics," he said. "I had to get better." For the next 4 years, Bolt trained harder than ever. He grew taller and stronger. His times got faster. By 2008, he was running times that no one had ever seen before. He broke the world record in the 100 meters with a time of 9.72 seconds. People started to believe that this kid from Jamaica might be something special. The Beijing Olympics changed everything. Bolt arrived as a world record holder, but he was still relatively unknown to casual sports fans. That was about to change. In the 100 meters, Bolt didn't just win, he dominated. In the final, he was so far ahead that he started celebrating before crossing the finish line. Even while slowing down, he broke his own world record with a time of 9.69 seconds. The crowd went wild. The boy who never lost in high school had just become the fastest man in the world, but he wasn't done. In the 200 meters, his favorite event, Bolt did something that seemed impossible. He broke Michael Johnson's world record that had stood for 12 years. His time of 19.30 seconds left everyone speechless. After Beijing, Bolt became a global superstar, but he never forgot where he came from. He remembered the high school track in Jamaica where he first learned to win. In London 2012, Bolt faced his biggest challenge yet. Could he repeat his Olympic success? Injuries had slowed him down, and younger runners were getting faster. The answer was emphatic. Bolt won both the 100 and 200 meters again, becoming the first man since 1988 to successfully defend the Olympic 100-meter title. By 2016, Bolt was 29 years old. In sprinting, that's ancient. Many people thought he was too old to compete with the younger runners. They were wrong. In Rio, Bolt completed the triple-triple, winning the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 4x100-meter relay at 3 consecutive Olympics. It was a feat that had never been accomplished before and may never be accomplished again. Throughout his career, Bolt never forgot his high school days. He would return to William Knibb Memorial High School to train and to inspire the next generation of runners. "Everything started in high school," he would tell young athletes. "That's where I learned that winning wasn't just about being fast, it was about believing in yourself." His high school coach, Pablo McNeil, remained with him throughout his career. The man who first watched Bolt win those high school races was there when he won Olympic gold. Today, Usain Bolt is retired from competitive running, but his legacy lives on. He showed the world that a boy from a small town in Jamaica could become the greatest sprinter of all time. His world records still stand. His Olympic achievements may never be matched, but perhaps most importantly, he inspired millions of young people to chase their dreams. Bolt's story teaches us that greatness often starts small. It started with a high school boy who simply refused to lose. It continued with a young man who turned disappointment into motivation, and it ended with a legend who proved that anything is possible. The boy who never lost a high school race became the fastest man alive. But more than that, he became proof that with talent, hard work, and an unshakable belief in yourself, you can achieve the impossible. Every time a young runner steps up to a starting line, they carry a piece of Usain Bolt's story with them. They know that greatness isn't just about crossing the finish line first. It's about never giving up on your dreams. From the dusty tracks of rural Jamaica to the grand stages of the Olympics, Usain Bolt's journey reminds us that heroes can come from anywhere. Sometimes they start as tall, skinny teenagers who just happen to be really, really fast. And sometimes they never lose. The lightning bolt that struck in in Beijing began with a boy who refused to accept defeat. That boy became a man who redefined what was possible. That man became a legend who will never be forgotten. What you just witnessed was history in the making. Noah Lyles, the fastest man alive, just proved that champions never stay down for long.
We were contemplating 3 track meets before U.S. Championships. It was Eugene, Monaco, and London. We already had London on the books, so we had to say, hey, we got to choose one. And my coach said he doesn't want me running 3 races in a row or 3 weeks in a row. So I decided to choose Monaco, and we'll just hit Monaco and London right back to each other.
Yeah, and the body's all good.
After months of doubt, after people questioned if he was still the king of speed, Noah Lyles just delivered the most incredible comeback story in sprinting. And we're going to tell you exactly how he did it. Noah Lyles, the man who holds the world record in the 100 meters, just beat his biggest rival in the most dramatic way possible. But here's the crazy part. Just a few months ago, people were saying Lyles might be done. They said he was too injured, too slow, too old to compete with the young guns. Well, guess what? They were wrong. Let me paint you a picture of what happened before this incredible race. Remember the Paris Olympics last year? Noah Lyles was supposed to dominate the 200 meters. That's his specialty, the race where he's won 3 world championships. But something went wrong. Instead of winning gold, Lyles finished 3rd. That's right, 3rd. The man who was supposed to be the fastest in the world got beaten by a young runner from Botswana named Letsile Tebogo. But here's the twist that shocked everyone. Right after the race, Lyles revealed he had COVID-19. He was sick during the Olympics. Can you imagine running the race of your life while you're fighting a virus? Most people can barely get out of bed with COVID, but Lyles still managed to get a bronze medal. After the Olympics, things got even tougher for Noah. He started having problems with his ankle, small injuries that kept him from running at full speed. For a sprinter, your legs are everything. It's like a race car driver having engine problems. From January to July 2025, Lyles barely raced. The man who used to compete almost every month was sitting on the sidelines, watching other sprinters take the spotlight. People started asking questions. Is Noah Lyles still the fastest man alive? Has Letsile Tebogo taken over as the king of the 200 meters? Will Lyles ever be the same after his injuries? Sports fans on social media weren't being kind either. Some were saying mean things like Lyles is finished or he's too old now. Imagine being one of the greatest sprinters in history and having thousands of people online saying you're not good enough anymore. But champions are made differently. While everyone was doubting him, Noah Lyles was working harder than ever behind the scenes. Fast forward to July 11th, 2025 Monaco, one of the most beautiful places in the world. The Monaco Diamond League is where all the world's best athletes come to compete. It's like the Super Bowl of track and field. This was going to be Noah Lyles' first big race in months. And guess who was also there? That's right, Letsile Tebogo, the young man who beat him at the Olympics. The track and field world was buzzing with excitement. Finally, after almost a year, we were going to see these two speed demons race against each other again. It was like a boxing rematch, but instead of punches, they were throwing down with pure speed. Now let me take you through this incredible race step by step, because what happened was absolutely mind-blowing. The start. Both runners got into their starting blocks. Lyles was in lane 7, Tebogo in lane 6, right next to each other. You could feel the tension in the air. The crowd was silent, waiting for the gun. Bang! The race was on! The first 100 meters. Both athletes exploded out of the blocks perfectly. No false starts, no mistakes. They were running side by side, matching each other step for step. It was like watching two cars racing at the same speed, around the curve. This is where things got really interesting. The 200-meter race has a big curve, and this is where you can really see who has the better technique. Lyles and Tebogo were still together, neither one giving the other an inch. The home stretch, where magic happened. As they came off the curve and into the final straight, something incredible happened. Remember, this is where Lyles lost the race at the Olympics. This is where Tebogo had beaten him before, but not this time. With about 50 meters to go, Noah Lyles shifted into another gear. It was like he had a secret turbo button that he saved for the very end. His legs started moving faster, his stride got longer, and suddenly he was pulling away from Tebogo. The finish! Noah Lyles crossed the finish line with his arms raised high, a huge smile on his face. The clock showed 19.88 seconds. An incredible time, especially for someone who hadn't raced in months. Tebogo finished second in 19.97 seconds, just 0.09 seconds behind. That might not sound like much, but in sprinting, that's like winning by a mile. The crowd went absolutely crazy. People were jumping up and down, screaming and cheering. Even other athletes were amazed by what they had just witnessed.